All right, welcome back. We are going to tackle supporting actor today. And it's a very special day because yesterday was Francesco's birthday.
It was. I turned 21.
Yeah.
I'm legal.
And tomorrow's my birthday, and I turn 19.
Yes.
Legal in Europe.
Depending on what country, but yes.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just so young and dumb and full of great predictions.
We sure are. For our favorite category, which is not our favorite category.
Speaking of young and dumb, there's going to be some young and dumb predictions here.
For men that support us.
I hate this category.
It's been a little better, I think, the last few years compared to years where all the performances nominated were terrible, and it was always also people that had already won, were previous nominees, and it's like, who cares? Who cares about you?
I was thinking about why I dislike this category. I think it's because it doesn't follow the logic of the other acting categories. Like, they literally just nominate anyone.
It's almost like the Academy doesn't care. So it's like, oh, there's also this category, but let's just get it done really quick and just check names at random. And yeah,
right. There's always some weird fuckery I think that happens in this category, like the Keith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya, Judas and the Black Messiah bullshit, or Judd Hirsch coming out of nowhere. There's always just some random what the fuck?
Ruining our predictions. The year of Daniel Kaluuya especially, I think at most people were saying maybe Kaluuya will be bumped to lead. That was as crazy as a gut, and then it ruined everybody's predictions pretty much. Yeah. Not that I'm not happy for Keith Stanfield and all that. Yeah, that's great for him. But yeah, we're here doing work, and
nominating Thelma and Louise in both and supporting. It's like anyway. So as I go through my top 10, I know I'm wrong because there's gonna be fuckery that I don't understand.
No, the goal is to be right between the two of us.
Yes.
Well,
shall we dive in?
Yeah, we'll do it the usual way. So, our top 10 ranked, not share with each other. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way up. And I think it's your turn to start because you start with the men, I start with the women.
All right, so number 10 was actually the hardest one. Everything was telling me to put Willem Dafoe in Poor Things. Or maybe even a Jesse Plemons in Killers of the Flower Moon. But I was like, there's gonna be fuckery. So what's the fuckery? And I was like, then I started looking for the really old actors in the wings who could do a Judd Hirsch. And all I came up with really were Glenn Turman for Rustin or Louis Gossett Jr. for The Color Purple. And then I was like, but no, I don't think there's enough there for either of them to even do a Judd Hirsch, because at least Judd Hirsch...
Judd Hirsch was on some people's ballots, including mine for a little bit.
Yeah, that would be truly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I came up with, and this is probably my dumbest of all, but I have Matt Damon from Oppenheimer.
Which is absolutely fine. I couldn't pick anybody from Oppenheimer outside of the obvious one to talk about here because I still haven't seen it.
I know, I still haven't either.
I do feel like it is one of those movies where it could conceivably happen, where there's two nominees in this category, both from Oppenheimer, because they tend to do that. And this could be a prime candidate because there's so many people in it for that to happen.
And because there's one particular that we'll talk about later that's very likely
probably going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they could easily sweep up another performance from there.
Right.
And then, I feel like it's just throwing darts at a dartboard. So I picked Matt Damon just because he's a big name and a previous winner, though, in writing. I don't know. He's my number 10.
He's not a mine, but I could see that. And also, number 10, it's not like you're really predicting him to do a lot. He's just in the conversation. He's in the movie.
Yeah, it's generally, he's a placeholder for fuckery. He's the fuckery waiting in the wings. I don't know if it's going to be him, but I feel like, yeah.
How big of a role is that in the movie?
I have no idea. I have no idea what he does in the movie.
I don't know, because I went to Screen Time Central after we talked last time to look at the screen time for any current movies in the conversation to get nominations, and I could only find Nyad, and Jodie Foster is I think she's in it for an hour. Because we were talking about does she have more screen time than Benning? Not quite, but they're pretty evenly matched. I don't know that it even matters insofar as movies like Oppenheimer, where there's just a really large cast and you could conceivably get a nomination for a smaller role just out of name recognition if the voters really love the movie. So that could totally happen.
Of that crop of other actors in the movie, he just seemed the biggest one that people could just name check. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I went with total fuckery for my number 10.
Yes.
Just otherwise, this is a performance that I really loved, and we were not going to get to talk about it at all. And so I decided, why not put Milo Machado Graner in number 10 for Anatomy of a Fall? Because he should get nominated. Let's be real.
Absolutely.
Let's be real. That is one of the best performances I've seen all year. Regardless of category placement, just phenomenal performance. And it's clearly not going to happen. I would say 99%.
Has there ever been a youth foreign performance, for a non-English language performer? I can't speak. A non-English language youth performance nominated?
Off the top of my head, no. Off the top of my head, I think she holds the record. But, if we're wrong, tell us in the comments.
No, I think he should absolutely be in the conversation, and it's kind of mystifying that he isn't, because there's so much that hinges on him in that movie.
It's almost like a co-lead performance, and I think especially the second half of the movie, where you really get into the nuts and bolts of what's happening, he's really a key component of the plot, the narrative, but also his performance is just so strong and compelling. I was really impressed with him, and I thought the character also went places that I didn't necessarily expect it to go, in terms of the sort of the power dynamic with his mother towards the end, which I thought was very interesting, and he played that really flawlessly. The reaction to the news at the end, his reaction is incredible. Try not to spoil what happens, but he's just really phenomenal. And I put him in 10th because realistically I don't think it's gonna happen, but I could see him get a few youth performer kind of nominations here and there, maybe on a couple of critics, and that could then put a little flag next to his name. But realistically, I'm more on the side of it'd be nice, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I wish there was more conversation around him, because he's really one of the best I've seen so far this year. Something really amazing should happen with this movie in terms of just a swell of support across the board, where it gets 8 nominations, something like that, and then it becomes a possibility. All right, number 9. Your turn.
No, you started.
Oh, I started?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have Dominic Cesco,
which is my number 8. Yep.
I know some folks have him higher.
Yeah.
He's definitely in the conversation. I kept him at number 9 just because he is a brand new actor. And again, we talked about this last episode, most of the buzz around the holdovers, I think, is based on the other 2 performances, specifically Divine Joy Randolph. So if there's a huge turnout for the holdovers, I could see him getting swept up in that, but I don't think he's positioned to score a nomination on his own without the movie doing also really, really well.
Yeah, I have him in number 8 just because this is the first time that I have him in at all. But he could easily be, because I'm looking at who's ahead of him. He could easily be my number 7. I feel like it's more a situation of like he's number 8 right now, but like kind of like on the rise, and that there could be a situation where he ends up in my top 5 even, before the end of the year. We start seeing like, critics, and I think he could easily get in the Globes, for example, where I think Holdovers is going to do really well. But I think in general, Holdovers is going to do really well at the Oscars, period. And at that point, obviously things would be different, and with a really strong movie behind you. Because also I'm assuming that it's a situation where he has a lot of screen time. It seems like a co-lead kind of thing with Paul Giamatti. And yeah, he is pretty much an unknown factor because nobody really knew about him before this. But I think that hasn't really stopped people in the past from getting it done. I haven't seen the movie yet. I meant to this week, but I just didn't have time. But I know you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it.
So what did you think? Yeah,
I think he's great. His story is great because he was literally just, that sounded diminishing, he was a student at one of the schools that they shot at, and so they did this like exhaustive casting search for that character and ended up just auditioning some of the kids at one of the schools that they filmed at in the drama department and found him. So that's pretty remarkable because he is incredibly natural. I will say, I thought he was fantastic, and if he got nominated, I'd be very happy. I do think Giamatti and Divine Joy Randolph steal the show. Yeah. So he's actually, ostensibly the lead.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured. In many ways, that's, yeah.
Mega screen time. But because Giamatti's character is such a towering figure in the movie, I understand why he's getting pushed. It's kind of like the Collateral situation where the more colorful, bigger name actor is getting the lead placement, and then I don't want to say the straight guy, but the audience cipher is.
Did you bump Giamatti up after seeing the movie?
I did.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Yeah,
and he's it's the most Giamatti role he's ever played, but it's also I think his best role.
That's pretty much what I figured when we were talking about it in the Best Actor deep dive, in the sense that it seems like literally tailor-made for him, and the kind of performance that people expect from him, and that he's excellent in it. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure if he ends up winning Best Actor, I'd be like, sure, yeah. I could have seen this like in like November, December when we started talking about it, but I didn't. But I do have him in my 5, and I think I have him like number 3. Yeah. So
I just pushed him into my 5. I think.
Is Divine gonna win?
I hope so. She's fantastic. I will say, she would absolutely 100% be a lock if she has one amazing scene at a party. And it cuts out, I think, too soon. So if she had like one more sentences in that scene, I think it would be over right now. But I think they cut it just a little too early. So there's room, I think, for someone else to. I don't think she's a
Morlock. Yeah.
Like a Morlock. She's fantastic though. Like she every scene she's in is the best scene. Like she's just handles the character with such grace and with such surprise. She has, I don't know, she's so many layers to her character. She's great. I love her.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Yeah, and I tried yesterday to get tickets, but then just the times didn't really work with the fact that it was my birthday and we had to do things. But it's like playing like right here, so I probably need to go next week and get it done. I'm excited for it.
I don't think the movie itself is a threat to win anything outside of her or possibly Giamatti if the cards fall right. But it does what it does really, really well, and I found it thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, I figured that it's going to be like that sort of feel-good Christmas movie that gets a lot of nominations, but then isn't really in contention to win Best Picture or Best Director, but then could do something in the acting categories, could do something in screenplay, especially screenplay. I think if it becomes apparent that it's like top 3 for everybody, not quite strong enough to actually win picture, but let's find other places to give it something. Yeah.
I guess I didn't track. I didn't notice that Alexander Payne didn't write it. It's another guy. So I don't know if that factors into how its screenplay chances, but it seems very akin to Nebraska to me in terms of how well it will do. So I think Nebraska had like 8 nominations and went home empty-handed.
Just about, yeah.
And its biggest threat was supporting. June Squibb, I think, was number 2 that year.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah.
So I see a similar story, except for I think Divine is in a much better position than June was.
Anyway. As I said, I have him at number 8, but Rising, and I think at the end of the day, in a month, he's probably going to be in my top 5.
Yeah, he's making his debut on the top 10 of mine, so I definitely see him moving up too.
It just seems like this category in particular that everybody's pretty much like deadlocked on, like there's like these 5 names that everybody has in, and then like a couple of people just outside, and that it's hard to decide exactly, well, who's really at 5, who's really at 4, is this person number 6 really, are they in? So
and that's the other thing too, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I was doing this, I'm like, there's gonna be fuckery.
It's not the 5 people that everybody's predicting.
I don't think it's this 5, but there's gonna be fuckery.
Yeah, my fuckery is a number 6, but we'll get there.
Yes.
My number 9 is Coleman Domingo for The Color Purple.
Great.
Do you have him in?
I have him at 6.
Okay, perfect. Which is probably where he should be, honestly. It's just that my number 6. Well, we'll get there. It's I think one of those situations where I can really decide if I want to commit to the fuckery or not. And for now I am. So yeah, and I think that this could realistically happen in a way. I feel like this is more likely to happen than him getting in for Rustin.
Yeah,
but yeah, just because I think just The Color Purple is an easier movie to nominate at the Oscars, even if it's kind of bad, than Rustin, because I feel like The Color Purple will get people like sitting in front of it, and Rustin, I don't see a lot of enthusiasm for it. And if The Color Purple does well in the acting categories, even in supporting actors, where it seems to be, the strongest category, then it could just be a case where it's like a movie that maybe doesn't get in picture, doesn't get in director, but it does well in the acting categories, does well below the line, and then he has 2 high-profile movies, and he gets in for this one.
Yeah, I think what you said is spot on. Like, the movie doesn't have to be good for him to still get in. Which, by the way, I had like 2 different conversations with people who are not really big movie people, and they're all like, "Oh, I've heard the movie's terrible." So the perception around this movie is interesting.
They're wrong. I mean, I have a lot of complicated feelings for the movie. I love it. and we talked about it. I mean, it's one of the foundational movies of my childhood, like adolescence. While being able to admit that there's issues with it.
Yeah, I just feel like between this and Rustin, he's gonna get in somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
But I'm feeling less. I think I had him at 4. An actor when we last spoke, but he's moved down because I moved Giamatti up. So, and I think also that top 5 that everyone's predicting, which also they're my 5. I'll be honest right now. There's going to be fuckery, and he wouldn't have qualified as fuckery because we're predicting him. But I just think there's going to be movement, and he could definitely slip in depending on. I mean, I think another thing that we'll discuss at some point is like what's going to happen with the men of Poor Things. Like,
yeah,
is it going to be a double nod
situation? Yeah,
like how much real estate is that going to take up? There's still some questions outstanding.
It's hard to talk about a movie that hasn't come out yet. There's no reviews posted for it. There's been screenings, but obviously it's also, I think, like screenings that had Oprah behind them. So how objective were those screenings
Right.
when one of the producers is actually holding it? So I don't know. We're going to need to wait, and it's frustrating because it literally comes out the last eligible week of the year, and everything is embargoed until then. But it is, I think, a situation where, for now, my brain is telling me below the line, 2-3 places, and then possibly a couple of nominations across supporting. And then he would become part of the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's really fair.
Yeah. Who's your number 8?
My 8 is Jeremy Allen White from The Iron Claw.
And I don't have him in, but I have him just outside the top 10.
Yeah, I am holding stubbornly to my thought that he's the big actor at the moment. The movie is going to be incredibly sad, and it's a physical performance because it's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So all of those things could get some eyeballs on, and I see the Iron Claw itself kind of very slowly entering the conversation at the edges for a couple different things, like for screenplay and for actor, and so I mean we have yet to hear anything about it. But if it's even if it ends up around like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think.
Oh, that wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it could still happen. Just because he's going to get nominated for the Bear at the Golden Globes, like he's going to be around this award season. So I could see people both just seeking out the movie and then also, depending on what his performance is, I guess maybe that's also the actual performance itself. Well, actually, no, it's a supporting actor. It doesn't matter. The performance doesn't matter at all.
I think it matters to a certain degree, but I think it matters more that he is really one of the it guys at the moment. Yeah. And he, I think, could exist outside of how well or how poorly the movie ends up doing. I just cannot really decide if I see this going the route of The Wrestler or the route of Rocky.
Yeah.
Which were both nominated. I mean, there were both were Oscar-nominated movies, but I think one a lot more successful, and one I think that had a lot more popular appeal, as in Rocky, and I feel like it's giving me more like Rocky vibes than Wrestler vibes. It doesn't really feel like an auteur kind of endeavor. Or movie. It just seems like a really huge sort of like industry / like crowd pleaser, kind of sad and inspirational and all that. So it is. I mean, we've talked about it when we talked about actor, that it is, I think, on the rise for us in a number of categories. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like the closest proxy to it is, and this is a different type of movie, but American Sniper, like late in the game, not an auteur movie by any means. But getting in basically because of the story behind it.
Yeah.
Because it was the true story, the fake true story of that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the closest I can think of in my brain of like a similar trajectory for potentially the actors of this movie.
Yeah. It's a good prediction, and mainly he really should be in my top 10, but I just wanted to talk about Milo, so that's why he's not. But yeah, it could easily.
My chaos.
Yeah. My number 8 was Dominic. So who's your number 7?
I have Paul Mescal for All of Us Strangers.
Me too, exactly there.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm still predicting. I have Andrew Scott at 5 right now.
Yeah.
So I'm still predicting him, and I think, based on just the overall popularity of Paul Mescal this year, and he has good reviews for this movie.
Great,
I think
yeah.
the movie is going to be a stealth performer at the Oscars. I think it's going to get it in a few places. I could easily see him getting in again.
Yeah, the returning nominee factor is, I think, one of the things that I usually try to gauge when I start putting together predictions, and he is one of 2 people that could come back from last year. He's got great reviews for the movie. It is, I think, a performance that if you love the movie, you're just going to love by default, because it is really at the heart of the main central dynamic of the story, and he's got such great chemistry with Andrew Scott. And I had him in for like the longest time. Actually, he was in my top 5 the very first time I think we talked about it. He was still in there. It's hard to make a case that he is for sure getting nominated with some of the people that I have in front of him, and just the kind of reviews that I've been reading and how things are starting to shake out. But I hope he does, and it would be greatly deserved. Yeah.
Everything I've read makes it seem that way. Yeah, it'd be greatly deserved. I still need to see it. I'm a bad gay.
So no, I mean, is it out? Because I saw it at a festival.
Oh, it hasn't come out yet.
I think it's a December movie, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was like it had like a quick run in September or something. That must have been the festivals I was conflating.
Yeah, no, I saw it last month, but my sense is that it's coming out later this year in like December. It's like December release.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That definitely helps then too.
Yeah. It's a good slot. Yeah.
Number
6.
6 is Domingo for me.
Okay, so my number 6 is where the fuckery begins. It is Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
Nice. Let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, he's probably getting in. It seems like he's probably getting in. But there's also, I think, a situation where he could be the only acting nominee from that movie, which to me then makes it less likely for him to get it in a way. It's just like, it's not one of those films where, yes, I think there's like huge amount of enthusiasm behind it, but it's not really about the acting. It is, I think, also a movie where the title character, and which is being played by one of the most famous actresses on the planet, she's not in most people's predictions, I would say. And I can't really shake off just the optics of it and how bad it would be or look.
Yeah, that would look bad for sure.
But I understand that. A lot of people have him in. A lot of people have him winning. That is a fact.
I don't think he's winning.
Me neither. I just need to wait and see what actually happens later this year, when we start hearing from critics, we start hearing from the Globes, and do you have him in?
I have him in. I have number 2.
Yeah.
But I also can see an argument because their broadly comedic performances are rare in this category. I'm trying to think of the last time like a performance from a like big studio comedy got in.
Melissa McCarthy,
yeah. I'm trying to think specifically supporting actor. The one there's Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder.
That was where I went to next.
Yeah. So they're rare. Barbie is going to be a big presence at the Oscars. I mean, they literally want a Barbie opening for the Oscars. So I feel confident keeping him in. I can definitely see a situation where the broad comedy of his role, plus them not going for acting role, any of the other actors in the movie, could lead to him getting left behind. He will, I think, absolutely be at the Globes, just because of starfuckery.
But also, I feel like at the Globes he's going to show up in actor, not supporting.
Actually, you're probably right.
So I don't know where that then leaves us in terms of this category.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. That's just a gut feeling. I don't know if they need to go with what the studio is sort of like campaigning in terms of category placement. I'm not sure if the Globes care about that. I'm not even sure if they changed the rules completely. It's been a rough 2 years for them, so I'm not sure what they're up to. But I have a feeling that he's actually getting in for best comedy actor.
I could absolutely see that, because I don't know. There's Jeremy Wright and Paul Giamatti, but outside of that,
yeah, it's hard to populate that category for me.
Yeah, so I could easily see them doing that.
I mean, I'm assuming Saltburn might go comedy, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good question.
Yeah. Everything else, the heavy hitters are all in drama, what I would say consider drama. So there's going to be, I think, some category placement fuckery. Also because I think that he is very likely to get in at the Globes and at SAG, but I'm not sure that he's getting into critics. I'm not sure that he's getting into BAFTA. Where if he ends up getting into BAFTA, for example, then it'd be like, okay, no, it's actually happening, and I was wrong. But yeah, it's just I can't. It's just kind of like a very shapeless kind of situation for me in this movie in terms of the acting categories. I don't have it getting any acting nominations so far, so I kind of need to commit to that. I feel for now.
Yeah,
but he's just outside. Yeah.
If he starts showing up in critics awards,
then that
would change the game.
Yeah,
but he also is not a performance that I think critics are going to go for. So it will be the big award shows that give us instruction. And you're right, if he ends up in lead at the Globes, then that could crack open that category to where he starts getting left behind.
It's just also a situation where I think like my number one is pretty much going to walk it to the Oscar, and it's hard then for me to start creating kind of alternative scenarios of what could happen if this doesn't happen, because I'm 99% sure that that's going to happen. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean 6 means that, because I have number 6, it means that he is very likely to get in, and that just for now I think it's more about the movie at large and how I don't have it just getting acting nominations at all. Yeah.
Let's talk about our top 5.
All right.
My 6 is Domingo. Yeah. So I have number 5, Charles Melton from May December.
Me too.
Though I have this sneaking suspicion that he's not going to get in, and I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I have him in right now, obviously, just because the buzz has been really strong around him. The performance is supposedly really, really great. But I think there's some combination of him, because again, I think I'm also just anticipating the fuckery, so my brain is trying to create scenarios to understand where movement could happen in these top 5. And I think with him being a relative unknown in a movie that is small and likely not to appear, except for maybe a Natalie Portman.
I think Julianne Moore is more likely to get nominated than anybody else. Yeah.
Like, to be the only nominee for a movie, it would be kind of like a Junebug situation. A relative unknown getting nominated and supporting for the only nominee from the movie. So that, to me, makes him vulnerable. And I could definitely see him being someone who, like, the critics like, and he pops up, but then gets overtaken by the bigger names. Because this is also a category where I think they just dump big names sometimes.
My sense is that he's not someone who can realistically win, but that the reviews are just really loud, and they're there, and now he's showing up in pretty much everybody's top 5. I have to sort of give it to the movie that they played it really smart, because this is basically the biopic retelling of the Mary Kay Letourneau story. But they, I think, put enough distance between themselves and the source material where people would not have the type of reaction, for example, people had to, like, Hillbilly Elegy. Right, where it's so close to, like, source material that is so unappealing to people at large that it ends up, like, hurting the movie across the board. They were very smart, I think, to use that as an inspiration. And even if they're playing it pretty close to the source material, the packaging for the movie and the title and the trailer, it is a little more esoteric, I would say. So that doesn't necessarily, like, immediately clue you in and say, oh my God, yeah, that is that gross woman. And yeah. And I don't even want to watch it. So I feel like part of me also thinks that it'd be cool for him to get in as a relative unknown for a movie of this sort, where, as we were saying, not really a major contender anywhere else, I would say, outside of maybe, like, the acting categories. But also, I started reading more and more reviews for it, and they're great. It's getting great reviews.
Yeah, I still have him in just because of those reviews. And I think he also has... The role is just right for awards, I think.
Yeah.
So... he's holding steady at 5, but if I'm looking for ways that this 5 that everyone's predicting for their top 5 breaks apart, I could definitely see him actually ending up at, like, 6 or 7 when all is said and done.
Yeah, I think I'm more on the side of we're going to see him a lot, maybe not everywhere, but a lot. And then it's going to be one of those situations where he's on the cusp the entire time, and then maybe he gets in, maybe he doesn't. It's going to be hard to conclusively, I think, unless he starts, like, winning shit. In which case, then, yeah, that's different. Because, yeah, if he wins SAG or if he wins the Globe, because I could see the Globes, pulling some shit, and yeah, then that'd be different. But assuming that he's just part of the conversation but hasn't won anything, yeah, it's going to be hard to conclusively say. So, yeah.
I mean, he also is the de facto ingenue of this lineup.
Correct. Yeah.
The new young guy. So,
yeah.
That matters less in supporting actor category, but I definitely could see that also helping him.
Yeah. We talked about your number 4. Am I wrong?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay, who's your number 4?
Mark Ruffalo from Poor Things.
All right, who is my number 3?
Great.
Yep.
So the reviews for him have been really strong. He's a previous nominee. He seems to be there's 3 major supporting male performances from what I can tell from the reviews. Willem Dafoe and Yami Rousseff. Mark Ruffalo seems to be the most, what's the word?
Likely?
Likely, for sure, but also in terms of the movie, which I have not seen.
Yeah.
The most consequential in terms of, like, so I don't know if he has the most screen time, the reviews are there for him. It seems to be a kind of departure for him in a little bit, because he plays kind of a dirtbag, from what I can tell. Instead of the, like, weepy-faced, like, heartfelt, which I think is where he's succeeded before. So I think it's a departure for him. It's a bit new from him, and it seems like a major component of the movie. I babbled and made no sense. What do you think?
So I'm 100% sure that he's in. It also, I think, is the situation of someone who's very respected, very well liked by his colleagues, who hasn't won before, although he's a previous nominee. I think from what I read that the more rewarding kind of story arc is actually between Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone, and there's, I think, a different dynamic between the two of them, as in that seems to be the relationship at the heart of the movie, even if Dafoe is not in the movie as much as Ruffalo, but yeah, I think between the two of them, I think he is slightly more likely to make it in. Yeah. Yeah,
I see more buzz around him. Dafoe, you can never count him out, so...
Yeah.
He could show up in a movie I've never heard of before, which he's done before, and get nominated.
Yeah.
So he's definitely still a possibility. It just depends, I think, on... the overall, which I think Poor Things is going to do well nomination total wise.
I think it's going to do well. I don't see as many people talking about it anymore compared to even last month. Where obviously it peaked in Venice, and obviously, then I think it's when it entered pretty much everybody's predictions kind of everywhere. And I think, is it out? It's not out yet, right?
Not out yet. I think it's out first week of December.
It's going to have, I think, a number of really, really passionate supporters, and then a number of people that just cannot bother with it because it's Lanthimos. I think I'm on the side of I see it do really well in acting. I mean, I'm currently predicting it to get 3 acting nominations. And then things can maybe drop a little bit in director, and I mean, I'm pretty sure the picture is also fairly safe, but stuff like screenplay, if people have a sort of divisive reaction to it, that's not, I think, locked. So yeah, but I think just the strength of the name recognition, and the fact that, again, he is someone who's really well liked, I'm fairly certain that he's in
nominations.
I think 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could definitely see a narrative of oh, we love him, he's undervalued.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel very comfortable. I don't think if fuckery happens, it's not going to affect him.
Yeah. My number 4 is Willem Dafoe.
Oh, nice.
For Poor Things. Do you have him in anywhere? Yes. He's not. Yeah. The whole thing with him is that it just feels like he is going to win an Oscar at some point, and that there's, I think, a little bit of a narrative building in terms of previous nominee who's been in a lot of iconic movies, has given a lot of great performances, somewhat under-rewarded, because I think this would be his 5th nomination if it happens. And I understand that he's in the movie less than Ruffalo is, but then from what I read, it is, I think, one of the central sort of dynamics of the story is his relationship with Emma Stone, like his creation, essentially. There's, I think, the prosthetic makeup factor that also I think plays a role, because people will be like, that's Willem Dafoe. I could even see a situation where if my number one falters a little bit, that Dafoe is actually the one that sneaks in out of left field to possibly win. I think it's more of a situation of I think he's getting nominated, but I'm not sure. But then if it happens, it's a different like playing field. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a fifth. It'll be his fifth nomination.
It'd be that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I don't have him in is because of Mark Ruffalo. I don't know if the movie's going to be strong enough to get two supporting actor nominations, which it definitely could have. That was just the question I had.
Yeah.
And then as I started filling the rest of my list, I just kept pumping him down, and then I picked fuckery. So everything you said is absolutely true. If he gets in, his overdueness definitely it immediately makes him at least number 3, I think. It's
one of the situations where I'm not 100% sure that he's getting in. I'm more on the side of yes. But then if he actually does get in, and that means that there's support behind his performance, that to me he becomes like probably the alternate. You know, depending on how things shake out. Just I think playing it out in my brain in like November. I
definitely see that. Do we have the same number 3?
Well, my number 3 was Ruffalo.
Okay, my number 3 is Robert De Niro.
Who was my number 2?
Yeah, I think, even though I wouldn't put it in even his top 5 performances of all time.
Top 10? Yeah, top 15? 10. No.
He is constantly in the movie. So he is just in the movie a lot. And it's kind of a showy performance. And it's, I just think it's inextricable from the overall movie's going to have at the Oscars. Like, there's no way there's no way Killers gets 10 nominations or something like that, and then no De Niro. Like,
oh no, he's in. He's in.
He's 100%.
The reviews are there. They very much read to me like he sure is grumpy. That's the grumpiest De Niro performance I've ever seen. But as you were saying, it is an undeniably strong film that's going to get a crap ton of nominations, and there's no, I think, scenario where he is not included. No scenario. Yeah. And I think I realize as I'm discussing these that I rank them more in terms of like likelihood of getting nominated, not so much like likelihood of actually winning. Yeah, because then I would move, as I was saying, like I would move things around. I think Dafoe would probably get bumped up a little bit, but as I said, there's no world, universe, reality where this doesn't happen.
Like, he's just too intertwined with the Scorsese legend, and like, there's just no way he doesn't get in. And
there's a sense of like return to form in one of our most favorite partnerships in the history of American cinema, and we didn't nominate him for The Irishman, so let's fix that now.
Which he didn't deserve it for the.
He did not deserve it for that. No,
that was actually the right call, because he was the most boring character in that movie.
Very bizarre character, and also very bizarre performance. The CGI really like threw me in that movie.
Gary's not hampered by that, so he's in the more showy supporting performance, and he's. He's in 97% of the movie, because 97% of the movie is that scene of him trying to get Leonardo DiCaprio to sign that thing.
It is very bizarre how that movie got edited, or didn't get edited at all. Because I'm pretty sure that's they just slapped together the entire footage.
Sent it over to Thelma, then she just accidentally sent it back without editing it.
She's like, yes, they're all connected now. It's good to go. I spliced them all together. Yeah, it's hard for me to talk about a performance that I wasn't a fan of at all, like ranked so high in because it is, I think, as I was saying, the situation where he is 100% getting in. I just don't have any enthusiasm for it.
Yeah,
as someone who has loved him in other things, this wasn't it. Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing how good he can be, and then seeing, like this was.
I don't think they got any notes, like him, or it was sort of like a situation of like, at the end of the day, we're doing the dailies, and everybody else is getting notes, and you two, you do whatever the fuck you want. Just that works for me. Yeah.
There's never anything. He had maybe one moment, I will say, where I was like, oh, there's something more to his character. But 98% of it was, there was no, he was just comically evil and greedy, and there was nothing driving him other than just being comically evil and greedy, Yeah,
because I think in Scorsese's most successful sort of like gangster movies, because I mean, Killers is kind of like a gangster movie disguised as something else, but that's what it is. What works is that the characters are so layered and so compelling. Mm-hmm. And literally De Niro here, there's just one mode for him.
And between both him and DiCaprio's character, there's just nothing interesting.
Yeah.
Either of them, they're both just so transparently two-dimensional to me.
Yeah.
And they take up so much of the movie, which is, there's so much great stuff going on in the movie around them, and the other performances that we don't get, I don't feel like, the same amount of focus on. So
yeah, but he's in.
Yeah. Yes.
Which
brings
us to our number one. No,
Number two already talked. You gave Buffalo number two.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Who's gonna win the Oscar?
Yes.
Can we say it?
Yes, he's gonna win.
He's gonna win. Like, out of any other category, this is the one that I have pretty much locked up already. Same. It's happening.
The only interesting thing about this category is what might happen
around him. Yeah. And good for him. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I hear that he is actually in it. And
he's definitely in this movie. And it's a sensible front runner for Best Picture, and it's probably, I feel, not going to win Best Actor, which makes even his win in supporting even more of a lock. Mm-hmm. Even though it probably should win Best Actor. Sight unseen, I haven't seen Cillian Murphy, his performance, but fucking Maestro, ruining everything. I think there's no way he doesn't win. He's a beloved veteran. He's Iron Man. He's under-rewarded at the Oscars. He's only been nominated
twice.
Yeah. Is that right? No, 3 times. Twice.
I think Chaplin and then Tropic Thunder, and that's it.
So then, there's even more reason, I think, to be like...
Yeah, I can't really see a situation where this doesn't happen unless someone else just starts, like, sweeping out of left field, and suddenly, I don't know, Defoe is winning everything. And then we were wrong all along. But it is, I think, too strong of a narrative and too strong of a movie for someone who is so beloved, doesn't have an Oscar yet, hasn't really been hasn't been really nominated that much either, but is a very iconic presence in Hollywood. There's a sense of like redemption also in his arc, or I guess in his career. In the sense of really sort of like picking himself back up from, going through really rough times. He gets this prestige role in a prestige movie playing a real life figure. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
And I think occasionally the supporting actor, they did it with Brad Pitt, and they did George Clooney for Soriano, where they just kind of reward the movie star.
Yeah.
Who hasn't been able to win elsewhere.
Yeah, no, it's very much like the Oscar goes to George Clooney for being George Clooney.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't do that every year, but they've definitely done it in the past. So I could see that even. I mean, there's just so many arguments for it. I can't really figure out a single argument against. And I think you actually nailed the only possible argument against is that someone like Dafoe or Ruffalo somehow hijacks the narrative under-rooted.
Because I think the overdue narrative nowadays only really works if you have a really strong movie behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I mean, ask Glenn Close. It is, I think, no longer a situation where you can just win out of name recognition. There needs to be, I think, really strong movie behind you that gets nominated for a picture, that gets maybe a couple more actors in, that gets nominations below the line. And then there's that sense of, okay, he's in a great movie, I really like that performance, and also he kind of deserves it just in terms of her entire career, and then it just happens. But it doesn't really happen if you're like in, to Leslie or The Wife. And I think everything is just this convergence of all these factors. It's hard to envision how this isn't happening for me.
Fun fact, though.
The what?
Fun fact.
Oh.
If Mark Ruffalo or Willem Dafoe get nominated in this category, they will tie for the most nominations in supporting actor, with about 8 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll tie with Walter Brennan, Jeff Bridges, Robert Duvall, Arthur Kennedy, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, and Claude Rains all have nominations in this category. That's the most.
Okay.
Dafoe and Ruffalo both have 3 in this category, so
okay,
join the top tier.
Okay. And I mean, there's really 2 movies that could pull off the double nomination, I think, in this category, and it's Poor Things and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Agreed.
Because I'm looking like at the other people that we discussed and some of the people that we didn't discuss but are still kind of in the conversation. And I'm just sensing that it could even be a situation where, both movies get like double dipped here. Because, supporting actor is the realm of fuckery.
It's true. I wonder when's the last time two films got double nominated in the same category? That's a great question. But it definitely could happen because those movies are prime for that.
I feel like it must have been like the 70s, but I'm not sure. It just seems like one of those like super low effort kind of categories where it's like, let's just check these names from like these 3 movies that we saw that have a lot of people that we like in them, and let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, going back to like, I just hate this category is... It does seem like the one that people put the least amount of effort into. It really
is. It is.
Yeah.
I feel like, as I said, it's gotten a little better the last like few years. I think we've had winners that I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that, or yeah, that was a good performance. But otherwise, it's like historically been just a category where they just don't care. They don't care.
Yeah. And the things that govern the other categories don't hold here. It's just like, is it a veteran? Is it a big movie star? Are they in a Best Picture nominee?
Right.
And, do they actually do well in the movie? No, it doesn't matter. We'll nominate them anyway.
Yeah, and that's like, that also, I think, plays into the idea that, to me, he's pretty much already won. Mm-hmm. Because it's the most low effort kind of box to check in terms of the winner, because he just has the strongest, I think, narrative behind him, but also like the laziest one in a way, where he really like checks all the boxes that historically get you an Oscar here. So
you said it perfectly. He's got everything you need and then some to win this, and I just struggle to see any situation where he doesn't.
It's just, and it's so funny because I haven't seen the movie yet, but I feel like I've seen this performance. I'd be, I think, really, really pleasantly surprised if this performance like manages to like shock me in any whichever way.
I really need to do my homework and watch the damn movie, but
yeah, I promise that as soon as the semester ends, I'll have a lot more time to actually get this done, and then probably in a week I'm gonna like get caught up with like everything. Yeah.
It's on my list.
It's there. I'm aware that it exists. I saw the poster for it.
And I'm scrolling real quick through the supporting actor and supporting actress winners. I've not seen a situation where there are two double nominees. But there may be an actor and actress, so...
Yeah.
But if it's going to happen, this year is definitely right before it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait, and I mean, on 1949, there were two nominees from Pinky, and there were two nominees from Come to the Stable.
That's last time it happened?
That's one that I found. I don't know if it's the most recent one.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to read the grid on Wikipedia.
And I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be really... I like Robert Downey Jr. as much as the next person. And I would not be against if it just needs to be like a perfunctory win, like in a group of 5 people that all were okay, then yes, let's just give it to him, and that's fine.
I like him as much as the next person too. I'm not mad about it because again, this category I never had much emotional investment in. So
yeah, because I mean, if it was a situation where like Paul Mescal gets in, then suddenly I'm like invested and I'm like, okay, let's pay attention. But otherwise, like the 5 people that I have in my top 5 right now, I'm kind of like, sure, good for you.
Yeah, well done. You win.
Well done, boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, I think that about does it. We did it. Supporting actor.
We did it. So this was the last of our deep dives because I think we're coming back next week, but it's going to be, I think, MBR and Golden Globe predictions.
Yes.
Which is I think really the beginning of, because I mean they come out later that week, right? We were saying.
Globes come out on the 11th.
The 11th. Okay. Yeah. But MBR, I think before that.
Yeah, MBR's like the 6th or 7th. Something like that. It's before, for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad we get this opportunity to kind of like roast MBR a little bit by way of like predicting that Barbie's going to win 14 awards at MBR, including like Top Gun award for Best Picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Congrats on your award, Joaquin Phoenix, Best Actor.
Oh my God. All right, so we're gonna be back next week with some predictions because things are starting to happen. Yes. Until then, bye.